Kieran, how are you? Welcome everyone to EV Chat. How are you, Kieran? You have a good
Hello,
week?
yeah, I'm going great. I'm excited.
Ex-
There's a lot of stuff to chat about today.
there's some good ones. Sorry about last week. We did record the podcast, but someone, I'm not gonna name names or point fingers, but someone did a horrible job with the audio, so we lost the audio from the previous week.
Is
Uh,
this where you point fingers at yourself as well?
Not pointing fingers, Kieran. We said.
Well, that's the
So
joke.
yes, thank you for explaining the joke. All right, I stuffed up the audio. So it's already up. I may leave a link to unlisted just to see if anyone in this history of the universe would actually watch it. It's unlisted. If you want to hear a video with horrible audio, I'll link it below. But regardless of all of that, there's so much stuff to talk about. There's big changes
Yeah.
there's big changes in Tesla. There's rumors about a new Model 3, which is very cool.
hmm
We're gonna talk about a little bit of battery chemistry that Kieran says that it's not important, and I say no. I wag my finger at Kieran, and I say this is important because this is important things. A little bit. Elon Musk is in China, and then there's Mercedes-Benz and new chargers and new networks, and the Model 3 is outselling every single other car in the planet. How is
Model
that for
Y.
Model Y? That's what I said. So, all right,
Yes. Let's
let's
go.
have let's have a chat about it.
And for anyone that hasn't heard as well, I work for a large EV charging company in Australia, and yeah, really excited about these sorts of things. I follow it every day, so it's
Yeah,
keen to
we
chat with you
are
about it.
just a little bit of context. We are enthusiasts. Kieran is a software engineer, and he is um, involved professionally and sentimentally in this whole thing. I own two Teslas. I am a graphic designer and I work in marketing. So I also see it from a different perspective. Let's put it that way. So anyway, enough about us. Let's get into it.
Yeah,
It is better than any other article, Kieran. We're already recording. So this
yeah.
is the Tesla Model Y was the world's best-selling car in Q1 2023. Tell us about it, Kieran.
Well, yeah, this is super exciting. I think it's not just the world's best-selling EV, it's the world's best-selling car, and it's not just like China, America, or some country, or even Norway that has a lot of EV sales. It's the world. And you can see in the picture at the top there's some other very popular cars. I think, are they all Toyotas?
No, I think. Well, that's a Toyota. They said the RAV4 is Toyota. No, there was like a Ranger. I think a Ford Ranger was also up there.
All of those in that picture are all Toyotas. So there's the Toyota Corolla is the second, then
Yes, the
Hilux,
line
then
Hilux.
RAV4, then Camry. So
Wow.
yeah,
You love Toyota. You have a Toyota, and
we
and you
do
are
have a
full
Toyota.
in. You do have
I
a
do have a
Toyota.
Toyota Corolla in the driveway.
Yes.
But I bought it 10 years ago. So back then things were different. Today I would never buy a Toyota. Unless they brought out an amazing EV.
What
But
about the
I think
hybrids? Do you think they are
no,
here because of the hybrids? This is a good conversation to have because
yeah.
the Corolla got incredibly popular. The same with the Camry and even the RAV4 when they started doing hybrids. Everyone and their uncle wanted
Oh yeah.
A hybrid Corolla and a hybrid Camry. So
They made amazing hybrids and they have made amazing hybrids, but a hybrid was a transition technology that was great, but now is not the time where the Corolla where hybrid is the best.
mhm.
And I think that it's the future is going to be all electric. Hybrids, yeah, make sense, and they're still popular and selling. And I'd prefer a hybrid on the road over a full petrol car. But right now, we are so far progressed, and EVs are so popular, which we can see here. We've got the evidence that the Model Y is the world's most best-selling car. EVs are the future. If Toyota had an EV that was anywhere near the Model Y, would it be in this list?
Yes, easy. They have the
Yeah,
brand
and that's the
recognition.
thing. Like
They have the
they've
brand
missed.
loyalty. They have everything they want, and they also have the quality of manufacturing as well. They are good cars. They make good cars. Internal combustion, hybrid, whatever you want to call it. They make good cars. It is very
Mhm.
interesting that they are one of the ones that are being the slowest at taking the
Mm.
EV. And we know that's, well, we discussed it in the previous podcast that never aired, about how they are betting on hydrogen and how that is hurting
But
them. But
at the same time, right now, like in present day, they are making a lot of money on all of these cars,
they are.
right? If
So
the second best selling car in the world, third, fourth, fifth, it's actually potentially in their interest to delay an EV as much as possible because they'd be competing with themselves.
a very important thing to notice here is the Hilux can be an expensive car, and it's kind of a car on its own, so we won't discuss it. But the RAV4 is a crossover SUV. The Corolla it can be a sedan, or it can be a coupe, or it can be different ones, the same as the Camry. But most of them have a huge range, lots of models, and a huge price range between them. You can get here in Australia, you can get a Corolla from $20-something thousand up until $60,000 or $70,000. So the fact that they are competing a car that the cheapest one starts roughly with in-road costs at around 70 grand, that is incredibly interesting. The fact that a car that would be 3 to 2 times more expensive than the cheapest ones that you see here, which is probably a Toyota Corolla at its basic, that would actually make it way more susceptible. Well, susceptible is the right word, I don't know. More people would buy it just because it's cheaper and it's a good car. So the fact that it can beat a car that would be at least half its price, that is not nothing, Kieran. That is
Yeah, and I think I want to focus more on what this means. Is that I think this is really a point. It's kind of the start of that sort of, I don't know, some people call it exponential curves. Maybe it's not going to be that fast. But the speed of
I
adoption of
think it is an exponential.
EVs
Yeah.
is only going to speed up at this point. And it's a really exciting time because being the top selling car, they do also have a future car coming out, which they're predicting to have double the amount of sales as the Y. And their factories are all ramping up, so they
If they can
actually
hit
are,
the
the wait
price,
times are lower, the
the only
prices are being lowered. Like there's so many
yes,
things that are going to help them, and also force other manufacturers and other EVs to
competitive.
sell more
Yeah,
and to compete.
yeah. No, I agree 100%. It's very meaningful. I think it's an exponential curve. The best way that someone described it to me was 2022 was the iPhone year. Was the same year as
Mm,
2007 for the iPhone. So in 2007, nobody had a smartphone. The iPhone came around. It took 2 or 3 or 4 years to really gain momentum. But once it hit it, everyone had an iPhone. And that's
yeah.
probably what we're going to start seeing. And we have a couple of articles about how car manufacturers are looking at, less than 10 years to start going full electrical, big car manufacturers. We'll talk about that in a few more minutes. But that is very interesting, and I think that is why, if you are sitting there and you are, Volvo or Mini or Mercedes-Benz, and you say these guys are the number one with a luxury car, that's incredibly important. It's a
Hmm.
luxury car. If
Yeah.
you can be the best selling car with a luxury brand, then woo, imagine what that means for anyone else. It is
Mm,
very exciting. It is very exciting, and I think it's an
super
exponential
exciting.
curve, and I think we're gonna be seeing way more of this. And I do agree that Toyota should get into gear, or the next one is we're gonna be seeing Hyundai's here. We were talking
Hmm.
about the Ionics and the Konas, and we were talking about
Yeah.
all of the other ones that are coming. Whew,
Well, yeah, and
they
Hyundai are transitioning from being sort of more of a budget brand that people are sort of like, oh, that's cheap cars, to now, because of their EV and their new strategy and their new design, becoming a lot more of a premium brand and competing against some more of these cars. So I think that's also really exciting because they have adopted a more aggressive EV strategy than some other sort of legacy car makers. So yeah, really exciting about what's coming out of Hyundai right now.
just make a quick point about Hyundai. Hyundai, at least in Australia, Hyundai is probably the best value car in the market. They are good looking, they are adequate cars, but they are very cheap compared to anything that is in the market. So if you are looking at buying, a Toyota Corolla, chances are if you go and you cross the street and you go to Hyundai, you would get more for pretty much the same car, even if they are a little bit less reliable, or you know they offer a lot for the price. So that would be very interesting to see in the electric in the electric industry because they are very
Mm.
well priced for all the extras and all of the stuff that they do.
Yeah, they have some more models coming out, and I think if they
Hmm.
do release more of them in Australia, they'll be a lot more exciting too.
All right, let's move to the next one.
Yeah.
LG starts mass productions of EV chargers. So it says the LG. This article is from Channel News. Sorry, the previous one was from Motor1.com, and it was from Juan Felipe Muñoz, adapted by Christopher Smith. All right, and this one is from Channel News, and it's an article by Nathan Jolly from the 29th of May, and the start of EV charger production a significant milestone for LG, propelling us on a journey to become a total EV charging solution provider, said Su Hong Kyu. I'm sure I destroyed that name. Vice President and Head of EV Charging Business Division of LG Electronics Business Solution Company. That is probably one of the most exciting things that I've seen in a while. What do you think about this one, Kieran?
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of manufacturers of charging equipment out there. I looked into this and I was like, okay, are they just doing slow AC chargers? But they're doing 7 kilowatts and also 100 and 200 kilowatt models as well, which is good. So 2 fast charging models and 2 sort of 7 kilowatt AC chargers. It's exciting, but also there's a lot of manufacturers out there that have a longer history. This is an acquisition of a company called Apple Mango by LG. So yeah,
But
I don't know. It's interesting.
no. Hold on a second. You are looking at it as an engineer.
I am.
You have to look at it as a marketing graphic designer. What you don't understand is that LG is a massive brand in electronics. All right?
Mhm.
LG has a lot of weight. A huge amount of weight with many other things, which I'm not going to go into. But the main thing is that if people start seeing, oh, LG, the giant in electronics, it's doing this and it's going to come and it's going to change and it's going to start putting, the hat in the ring, that will raise eyebrows. I know that there's other people doing it. I am fully aware of this. But the fact that big brands, probably the biggest brands when it comes to batteries and electrical things, is backing up this, I reckon that's not small. That's what I think is
Yeah.
exciting. Because of the name more than, the
Well,
engineering.
I guess the name, right? Yeah. It's just that like the questions I ask more from an engineering point of view is how reliable are they? Because a lot of people when thinking about chargers want really reliable chargers.
Fair enough.
And how many are they going to make? Like, what's the level are they going to make? Who's buying them? Like, do they have some big customers that already want them, etc.? So, like, the market in Australia for EV chargers is pretty much dominated by Tritium, which is also selling all over the world as well. So, yeah, I don't know. It
So,
depends
for
what
example,
markets they go to and how they compete.
the company that you work on, and I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about it, but you work for a company that does public charging. Let's call it that. Is that the right
Yeah.
name for it? They have all their own technology. They have all their own stuff, or do they buy from someone? Would they actually be able to go and get these LG chargers and put them on the road?
I'll just talk more generally though. Like all of the networks will buy chargers and they'll install a charger, and they can have varying different chargers from different companies,
That was my
etc.
question.
So
Yeah.
if an LG charger looks competitive and it I don't know, either better or like what you're saying, there's brand recognition and people want it, then yeah, you could see them coming here as well. It's more about, are they going to be reliable? And that's the huge factor that
You don't
most
think that
people pay attention
LG
to
would
first.
make them reliable?
We just don't know. They have, like, this is new.
All
So
right.
they need to build some trust up and they need to have
But they have the trust,
uh
and I think they would have
some
a lot
years.
to
Well,
lose if
yeah,
they
as
were
a
not reliable.
company in their other things, but not necessarily in EV charging space.
Well, I'll put it this way. One of the main reasons why Tesla was so successful with the batteries and with the solar panels and all of that stuff is because they had the infrastructure with the cars. So
Yeah.
they had the brand recognition as such. And I think that's exactly what LG is doing here, because LG is huge with solar panels and LG is huge with batteries for houses and LG is huge with all of this infrastructure for, electrical the infrastructure homely things.
Mm.
Um, uh, from a fridge to anything else. So in the
Are they good
brain.
at software though?
I don't know. I'm not a software engineer, Kieran.
Yeah, I think that's a potential concern is that a lot of people think about the hardware of a charger, but the charger itself has to run some software to connect to the network and communicate. And
ChatGPT, we can do that.
yeah, true. But the reliability of that communication and that software is very important because if the charger goes offline or somebody tries to pay with a credit card or use a card or tries to use an app and it doesn't work because of that software on the charger, well, that's a problem too. And so you need a provider that's good at building software and hardware on the charger side, or that they somehow have a good partnership
Well, I'll,
with a software vendor.
all right, all right. If they are good,
Yeah,
which should be an if for everything. I get where you're coming from. If they are good and if they do their job right, and if this is big,
yeah.
because
I do
of
get the brand.
the brand recognition and one of the biggest, blah 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 blah. We've said it all before. Let's move on. BYD Dolphin pricing and specs revealed in key right-hand drive market. That's big.
Yeah.
So
This one's
talk
a personal excitement for me. This is a car that I think it is going to be very popular in Australia if it's the right price. But yeah, it's a very nice car that I think is a bit of a smaller car. And there's some interesting things about it. So this was released, the pricing for another right-hand drive market, and that was Hong Kong, with some pricing of 37,000 for the standard range.
That is really
so
good.
equivalent. It's converted, and $46,000 for the
It could be
extended
similar
range.
to that though. So
It would
it's
be
not gonna be
more.
$70,000. It's not gonna be 70. It's probably gonna be marginally more.
Yeah.
Well, marginally more, a percentage at 10, 15%, maybe 20, but it's not gonna be 80. Would it?
Yeah, it'll be 40 something thousand.
Yeah,
It's going to
that's
compete
what
with the MG4.
Yes, that's exactly what it's going to do.
Yeah, and I think I'm more excited about the Dolphin over the MG4 because of the fact that BYD is a battery manufacturer, like we've discussed earlier. It is I feel like they have a better reputation for building EVs, especially with the sales of the Atto 3 and how they are the second highest selling manufacturer in Australia for EVs right now. So
there's a lot of people
yeah,
that are very, I don't want to say angry, but they are very, they don't want to buy stuff from China. Even one of the things that, especially in Australia, if you watch a little bit of Sky News, which you shouldn't, but but if you do, if you find yourself tripping over your keyboard and ending up in Sky News, you would see that there's a lot of people that do not appreciate buying stuff from China in general. As a as a t-shirt to wear, as a flag to carry.
yeah, but like every car's coming out of China though. Like you'll
No, not every
struggle.
car. There's lots.
You'll
There's lots.
struggle to find cars not being built in China.
There's huge. There's a massive amount of cars built in Mexico, for example, for North America, Argentina, Brazil. There's a lot in Macau. There's India. There's Vietnam. There's lots of them being built in Europe now as well. I don't think it's. I know that China is a huge player, and I'm not gonna diminish what they are doing, but I don't think. I think that if you're in Australia and you say I don't want to buy a Chinese-made car, you have choices. Not a huge amount, but they are out there. They're out there. Anyway, do you think that will hurt them? The fact that they are a Chinese brand, manufactured in China, and they are not sort of shying away from that?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like the proof is already in the pudding. They're the second most popular car in EV, not car, but their second most popular EV brand in Australia. They're already doing great, and they only have one model.
Well, but that was not a huge amount of competition. Who are you going to compete against? Like the Leaf? Well, I guess the Ioniq and the Kona.
If we look at the particular like sales figures I was looking at, it was like 3,500 Model Ys, 3,000 Model 3s, and 1,000 Atto 3s. So it's still up there. It's still close.
That being said, the Kona
and then like
the
the Leaf was like 10 or something.
Yeah, no. But Ioniq and Kona, they have a massive problem that they don't have enough. That is the truth.
Yeah.
You were buying a Kona, weren't you? And
yeah, I was looking at a Kona at one point. Yeah.
And what was the waiting time? It was like 7 or 8 months, wasn't it?
It wasn't close to that. It was probably a little bit less than that. But yeah, there was still a little bit of a waiting time. And this was actually a cancelled order, so it was already on a ship and it was already here.
Hmm.
So if somebody was ordering new, then it would have taken a while.
That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
the Atos is not as bad, for what I understand. So
Yeah. I
so
don't
they
know
would
what
be
their
able to
delivery
sell more.
timelines are, but yeah.
So that's a good reason of why they would be selling more. If you do you think that if you could go and get a Kona or an Ioniq 5 right now, just going knock on the door, knock knock, give me a car, do you think there would be more on the road?
I think so, but I still don't think they would be selling as well as the Atto 3. Even
Well,
if they had unlimited supply, I still think the Atto 3 is just a more popular car because of its pricing,
what's the
because
price
it's,
of the other?
because 48,000 for the standard range and 51,000 for the extended range.
Well, no, the Ioniq 5 is what, like 50 something? It's not that different. It would be what, 10-15% more?
Mm,
But anyway, that's
yeah,
irrelevant. Good on them. Good for BYD.
it is.
Uh,
Yeah. But I think this is going to be cheaper, so it's going to sell
mhm.
more.
True, true.
We'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see.
We don't know when it's going to happen. When is it going to release in Australia yet? We don't know, but
Is it
hopefully
out
it's soon.
anywhere else?
Yes, it is out in other countries.
Well, not. They announced the price for Hong Kong. I get that, but is it? Can you go and buy one and drive it around?
Yes, you can. I think you can definitely get them in. Like they've been in China for ages.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean outside of China. So that is my question because it's right-hand drive. Can I go to Hong Kong or to Japan or to India or to anywhere they drive on the right side of the road, not in the wrong one?
I think Hong Kong is the first one. That's why this news article exists. That's why it's here. Is it's the first right-hand drive. So
Well, it's
yeah,
very interesting indeed. Let's keep on going. Push for fast charging stations along remote outback way to attract electric vehicle drivers. We had a few articles about this one, and that's all up your alley, Kieran. So,
yeah.
why is this important?
Well, this has been sort of happening for a while, and I think it's been a bit quiet. But there's the West Australian electric superhighway, which has been rolling out gradually. And I think what this is really exciting about is that if you're in WA, then very soon you'll be able to travel all the way up the coastline with fast chargers. And I think that's really exciting and will also attract, like which what this article is talking about, will attract a lot more people to travel in EVs to the Outback way.
This is very
Um,
important because I'll just give some context for the people that don't know this. Perth is the most isolated capital city in the world. There's no other capital city in the world that is furthest away from another capital city. So that is a huge thing. At some point, Kieran and I were having a conversation of how you could get there, and you would need to stop for at least a day somewhere to to slow charge, or you would have to walk around it. But if you can get there in a day and a half of driving, you know
mm.
that is very enticing. You have
Definitely.
driven.
And it's something that's a trip that I really want to do. I would really like to be able to do a trip to Perth without having to stay overnight at too many places. I'd love to be able to do fast charging and do that in the equivalent time that it would take a petrol car to do that same trip. And very exciting for that. Right now, on the WA side of the
Mhm.
border, the Western Australian side, there are enough, but it's the gap is on the South Australian side. And I think if that can link up, then it means that that will link up the entire country with fast chargers, and hopefully that happens soon. And I'm predicting it'll happen this year or next. Yeah, so green are AC chargers, which is like sort of normally a 7 kilowatt. Some of them do go faster, but for most cars it goes up to
Mhm.
7 kilowatt, which means that you're charging say 4 to 8 hours, which for a
Mhm.
lot of these means that you're staying overnight. Some of these are even slower than that. They're even like 1 or 2 kilowatts locations, especially in the outback
Mhm.
areas. Some are even running off generators as well, which is not great. But the orange ones are fast chargers. And so some of those are 50 kilowatts, which you can see.
Yep.
Some of them are 20. That 24 one there is good, but it's not. It should be 50 kilowatt or above.
Mhm.
But yeah, so on the WA side, there's less gaps between fast chargers. What we need is on the South Australian side as well.
All through there. Yes, that would be at least what, maybe 1,500 kilometers from one to another easily.
Yeah, the Great Australian Bight. So there's a new charger in Whyalla, which didn't used to be there as well. So that sort of extends the
Right over
range
here.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's great, but
That's still
we
a
need to
thousand
keep building
kilometers,
more.
if not more, from there to there easily. So
So the Outback Way is actually right through the middle of Australia. So if you go
it's
up
through
to
here.
if you go to Alice Springs, which is right in the middle,
Uh-huh.
the Outback Way is like Alice Springs over to Perth.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very different to what I was thinking. So sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't. I thought we needed a few here and even a couple there, but I didn't know there was like. That's what they want to do. Fast charges there. I wonder, is that really necessary?
Well,
Shouldn't
that's
they
what this
be?
article is talking about, right? It's talking about how art charges on that route could attract EV chargers.
Well,
Sorry,
I
EV
think
drivers.
I get it. I get it. If this would look like that, then sure, yes, of course, go and do it. But when your closest capital city, well, uh, your closest city is probably Alice Springs, but your closest capital city from a state is South Australia, and it looks like that, then I
Yeah,
reckon
there's so much
this.
work to do,
There's
and it's
so much
kind of
work to do
ambitious,
here.
isn't it?
So that's what I think, that maybe here is a little bit. I mean, at that point, you could be carrying a couple of solar panels and a generator yourself, and just stay camp overnight somewhere for a couple of days if you want, and just move on.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. This is the one that I was talking about. Kieran is not impressed. He raised his eyebrow and wagged his finger and said, "Oh well, I don't know about that one," but I think it's exciting.
It's impressive, sure, it's exciting, but the thing is, it's so far off, and there's a lot. If you were to track all the announcements about new battery technologies and some clickbait article of, there's this new solid state battery that's going to have 1,000 miles or
But
whatever.
this is not that. This is new technology. This is new chemistry. So I get that. I
Yeah,
get that.
there's new chemistries every day that you hear about. Like,
No,
but
yes, but not
until
so.
it's in the wild and actually a production ready, mass manufactured technology,
I
it's
think
not
this is different. I think I know
exciting.
that we could go on about the manganese, and I know that we could go on about all of this stuff. But what is important about this one, and that makes it
Yeah,
different, is
do
first of
tell
all
me.
that it's already working. It exists. It's not like, oh, maybe we could start looking at dog poo. Like, no. This actually exists. It's out there. It works. It just, they were having issues with it because it wouldn't. Essentially, the battery deterioration was actually fairly high. So what they are talking about is that they are making big changes to the fact that maybe this is a way that we could go away from lithium, which is actually hurting lots of things, and one of them is making the cars very expensive. If we could change to sodium ion, this would be a big thing. Is there anything that is more exciting as sodium ion right now? Not even manganese, I think, is as exciting as what I'm reading here.
Yeah, I don't know. It still does seem far off. The kicker at the bottom of this article is that will likely matter to the so it's talking about it being 2030 and that it would be for used cars. So that's not super exciting.
Well, I think it is super exciting because first of all, you don't need cobalt, nickel, or copper, which are particularly hard on environment to mine. They are very hard on environment to mine, and it's one of the main things why the flags that people carry about, oh well, yeah, but batteries are really bad for the environment. So the fact that you wouldn't need cobalt, nickel, or copper would make it fairly big. Which with manganese, you still need some of these rare metals. So metals, sorry. So I think.
I'm sure. I think they'll be cheaper, but again, there's the next part is the next paragraph is interesting. There is that it has a lower energy density than lithium. So for the same amount of mass, it's going to give you less electricity.
Heavy as well. For what I understand, it's bigger but less heavy. So I don't know. No,
that's interesting. But the energy density. So so it's lighter, but takes up more space. That's interesting. I would have thought energy density would be based on weight, but that's
I
okay.
may be completely mistaken. Maybe I read it wrong. Uh,
Yeah, I definitely think it needs more investigation into it and how far
Absolutely.
off it really is to being available and that sort of thing. But yeah,
I think
it could result in cheaper batteries.
I think that battery chemistry is one of the three main reasons why this is still not there, and the fact that there's an option for something that looks like this may be. They remember when hard disk drives in computers were well, no, you don't, but I do because I am 15 years older than you. Uh, hard disk drives in computers used to be this big and really heavy, and then in a matter of 3 or 4 years, they became this big and not as heavy. And then in 5 to 10 years later, we got SSDs, and now we have M.2s that are this big. And I think that's why this is so interesting to me, because this is the natural progression of battery chemistry, and moving away from lead and from lithium and all of that. For me, is more about paving the road to the future of a car that can actually do 7 or 8 or 900 kilometers, or that can fast charge in 10 or 15 minutes, or that things that need to be done. And I know that this is not this. I get it. I get that this is not this just yet, but we're on the right road, and I'm excited about it. All right.
Yeah, I think what I'm more excited about is the stuff that is like nearly in a car. And so some of the stuff that Tesla's doing with their battery chemistry, like when they changed to the new battery cells, when they switched to LFP batteries, and they got rid of cobalt, and so those sorts of things I think are exciting because it's here, and the high nickel that they released in their recent shareholder meeting.
Yeah, shareholders. Yeah, that's one.
That is interesting because I don't think that's far off either. So
well, anyway, but this is brand new technology, brand new.
Yes.
All right. France opens first electric vehicle battery Gigafactory. I know that this is a little bit of a throwaway article, but it's interesting because of the previous article, which was more batteries are being manufactured. There's this whole, they're calling it Battery Valley in Dunkirk and in different areas around France, which was a very, very highly industrialized area. And right now they were losing lots of jobs, and they were feeling the pinch. Let's just call it like that. And they are doing all of these things to produce, to create 2,000 jobs and 800,000 batteries a year. So this is a perfect example of a one-to-one on how a future with electric cars goes beyond, saving the planet or lower emissions or things like that. And I think that's incredibly exciting because we need this. Yeah. We need this for sure if we're going to be losing jobs and out of many other things. And I think that's incredibly interesting.
Well, why isn't Australia doing this? We don't need to import all the raw materials. We could be the next
Kieran.
manufacturing of batteries in Australia. Like, I think that would be.
I'll tell you why.
Amazing.
And I'll tell you what very easily, as someone that comes originally from a developing country and as someone that has been in a position to hiring someone, Australia is almost impossible to run in large quantities of employees because it's nearly impossible to hire someone. They make it incredibly hard. That's why Toyota closed the doors. That's why so many car manufacturers are leaving. Because for good reasons, if you want, maybe all of them are good, for whatever reason you want, it doesn't matter. It is prohibitively expensive to run a manufacturing company in Australia.
Yeah. What about France, though? I would have thought France would also be pretty difficult, though, as well.
The main thing about France is that it's not for France on its own. There's a bunch of different people, and there's essentially the whole European Union. So there's Spain is involved, the Germany is involved. So I don't know what are the treaties behind it, but I'm guessing all of that is getting there because surely that area is doing something exciting, tax-wise or creating jobs or doing something interesting that would entice people to go and manufacture there.
I think there's also something interesting here as a trigger. Why is that it mentions later in the article about this rules of origin, which is an UK or EU law that sort of adds tariffs on cars that are either imported or exported. So that is maybe another reason why there's government incentives
That's a huge
to
one.
manufacture in France, right?
Yeah. So for all the European Union, everything that is made in European Union has lower taxes, and essentially they make it very attractive. They are doing exactly the same in America. Tesla has been, Elon Musk has been very vocal about this because they are being highly affected because they manufacture a lot of the stuff in China. So there's things have been moving around in his gigafactories and stuff like that to try to manufacture more in America, so the car can be, I think it's something ridiculous, like 93% or 92% American. If not, they will have this tariff on top. So
Mm.
that would be why, and that is
Yeah,
why.
but should Australia have those sorts of incentives too? Like
Yes, they absolutely should. They
yeah.
but the problem with that is that America has car manufacturers. There, they have car factories,
Yeah,
and
but if
and
these, it's sort of a chicken and egg thing, right? If these sorts of things, incentives don't exist, then like it's not going to attract anyone. The
but
other way
hold
around,
on.
there's a lot of disincentives in Australia. There's a luxury car tax, there's import duties, there's all this stuff to try and
On
slow
those
down
costs.
imports to try and protect the car industry that doesn't exist. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Is incentives to make car manufacturers want to be here?
Yes, but there's one more point that very few people realize, and it's the fact that these incentives work because they are in a European Union. There's 15 countries that are actually all in this, and it's exactly the same in America. There's the NAFTA, which is Canada, Mexico, and North America, that are in this treaty. So that's why Elon Musk was looking at Mexico or Canada to actually build a factory, because it's not only made in America. So that's two developed countries and one that is still, in the top 20 countries in the world that can actually back you up. So actually, this is really good for America because they have everything that they need in the first two countries for, universities and software development and yada, 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 yada. And then they have essentially a budget full of manufacturing. And that is
Mm.
really, really, really enticing for them. So I reckon that's what we're going to be looking at. And that's exactly what's happening here, because all of these people are involved. So, yeah, more to your point.
Definitely.
Sorry, Anna. Elon Musk overruled Tesla engineers on removing high-tech radars.
Yeah. And this is one thing that I would actually agree with the engineers and disagree with Elon Musk on. I think that removing the radars is a bad idea, and there's a lot of reports of people out there where they people that have the radar and that they find that their cars are much better at detecting other cars and are better at picking up traffic and responding to situations, and the cars that don't have it are not as good. And so there's some real world evidence, maybe it's anecdotal, that this is better. I do also understand from a cost point of view and maybe a cost cutting to reduce the price of the car that removing the radar and having one less component can be better. But with the state of the autonomous driving,
We'll go into that next
where it is
episode.
right now, yeah, it's maybe not a good idea to do this now.
I think it's
I don't know.
well, they have been cutting stuff from Teslas for the last 5 years. So from very simple things like being able to like move data around with the U.S.B.s that were in the central console, like something simple as that, to obviously the lidar and now the sensors around the car, which are gone because Elon Musk keeps saying that the cameras are good enough and the cameras will replace and they're just as good as anything else. I disagree, at least in its current point right now, because you are absolutely right. I've driven a car exactly the same, identical, one-to-one identical, even the same color as the one that I have right now, a Model 3 from 2022, which is mine, and I drove a 2021, which had the LiDAR, and I've seen how it renders the road, and it's day and night. Mine pops in cars in and out, and it misses stuff, and if it's a foggy day or it's raining, then it doesn't really work because the camera gets blurred. All of this stuff. So I agree with you completely, but I think it had more to do with the shortages during COVID, and then he just used that as an excuse. I think that's the main reason, to be honest. So that comes hand in hand with the massive Tesla leak reveals data breaches, thousands of safety complaints, which was, in hand with that because apparently there was this leak, and you were talking about it, that it was the leak didn't come from a hacker, right?
No, so this wasn't an external sort of hacking leak. This was an internal ex-employee that sent information to a German news uh, organization.
And the main thing is that apparently there's lots of complaints, like a huge amount of complaints about self-driving and cars stopping on their own and accelerating on their own when they shouldn't, and just safety issues that they were having that Tesla knew about and that maybe should have done something about. And it's an interesting one because you own a Tesla, I own a Tesla. We both have tried the autonomous driving when it was free for like a month. We even did a video
Mm,
that we never do anything with it,
yeah.
and it's not good, Kieran.
Mm.
It is not. It is not. And anyone that wants to cover your eyes and tell you that it is, I uh,
I think the strategy here is similar to what we've seen with AI, and that it seems like it's doing nothing for a really long time, and it gets to a certain point and it just explodes, and people are like blown away. So you can sort of see that with the Chat GPT, with chatbots and AI chat stuff has been around for ages, but it's
mm,
been very, I guess, disappointing or
yeah,
crap.
no, absolutely. Home
And then
automation.
one day ChatGPT 3 is released and the world just goes crazy about it, and it's changing. It's like people are replacing employees by it, and the world is now being changed due to it. But before that happened, it wasn't really on anyone's radar. So the hope that a lot of people I think have with this, with autopilot, is that they're taking a similar strategy of going full on into AI rather than trying to do anything else, and that at some point there'll be this huge leap, and it will. There are a lot of signs out of the full self-driving beta in America that it could get there, but yeah, we don't.
We
It's
need a
not yet
huge
at that point.
amount of cars with computers telling each other what they are doing and recording data. That is the
Yeah,
only way that this would work. Full
but
autonomous
like
driving without
communicating with each other.
with each other. That is, we need that network. If we don't have that network, it would be really, really difficult for a car to react amongst
I
thousands
think
upon
that's a
thousands upon
future
thousands
thing
of
in the
variables.
like uh, that allows you for sort of optimization and going, okay, well, I know there's a car coming to this intersection
I,
and
I
those
think
sort
that's
of
what
things.
they are pushing for. My understanding is that's exactly what they are pushing. Like even old cars to feed with a computer that will actually know where you usually drive, how fast you usually drive, what's your preferred lane, and that would actually feed like a center computer of what everything is happening and sort of like keep a pulse on traffic and things like that. And the
Mm,
car would be able to know which way to cut, which car to overtake, which how far the car that is going, I don't know, 5 kilometers behind you even, and it's gonna come across you because of whatever reason. Well, I said 500 meters, probably more correct.
yeah.
And that kind of
That's very
stuff.
far off, though. I
Yeah,
think that
I
the
think that's
strategy,
when
though, with
I think that's when it would work. I think we have to reach
yeah,
that point for it to be fully autonomous, not
I
autopilot,
think it's before
not.
then, though.
Yeah, I think that's when we will see it. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm talking about city driving. I'm not talking about look, I'll put it this way: Teslas cannot go around a roundabout. They can't, even in full.
but they can. What have you seen? Have you seen though in a full self-driving beta in America though?
My understanding is that they cannot do it in a full self-driving vehicle in America, and apparently there was a whole thing. It may be a little bit old. It was like a year and a half old away, and that they were saying that there's no even that many roundabouts in America, so they were not even concerned about it. It's like
Okay.
not a thing in America. So, and here they are horrendous. So I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but I don't think it's quite yet there. And
Yeah. Well, there are videos out there of full self-driving in America with cars going round and roundabouts. So
okay,
if you look on YouTube, there is evidence.
they're okay. All right, all right, all right.
Yeah.
I trust you. And like I said, this is like a year and a half away when I was looking at this. That apparently they just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing, and that's the thing that not a lot of people grasp is how quickly some of this stuff is changing. But it's quite hidden. It's not very present. It's not talked about a lot in the
I wouldn't hold my
news.
breath. Like you were going on
Yeah,
about the battery, I wouldn't hold my breath with it. I think self-autonomous would be a thing for highways,
yeah,
for like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
long
yeah.
range vehicles that have to stay in a particular lane and they can just stop and accelerate, and they know exactly how the road is gonna look every single time. I reckon yes, for that, absolutely. But for a
I'm also
massive,
hesitant too. Like that's I guess that's why I'm saying a lot of people are saying rather than I'm saying that, because it does look promising. Is there going to be a big leap where it is better? I don't know. When is that going to happen? I'm not sure. It does look promising, and the point at which like autonomous or full self-driving becomes like that kind of that leap to ChatGPT 3 sort of thing, where it's just like, wow, this is amazing. When is that going to be? Is it going to be next year? Is it going to be 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. But I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when that does happen.
well, the
Relating
point
back to
is,
this article, I think what Tesla are doing is that they're going full, they're putting all their chips into that, because that's where they think the future is. And they're not doing anything in the meantime, which means that everything else that they have already is
are they
not good
sacrificing
enough and has a
safety?
lot of complaints.
Are they sacrificing safety? Are they endangering people because of doing that? That's the main thing.
Uh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do
But
think
but
so as well.
like but like only in small parts. I still
But that is still philosophically bankrupt. Like, no, hold on a
what do you
second.
mean?
Saying, well, I am endangering
What
people
do
for
you mean
trying
by
this
that?
technology,
Define
but
the
on
question.
what? So,
So what do you mean? Like a
well,
like it like
what I mean is this: is it okay to push a technology forward even if it endangers your customers?
I don't think it endangers the customer. I just think that there are still bugs and things that need to be worked out, but they're still the safest car in the world. They still have
They are,
that
if you crash, they are the safest car. That is true. But I'm sure that you've used your self-driving and suddenly the car has stopped in the middle of nowhere because a cricket went by, and that is dangerous. Sorry, it is dangerous.
Yeah, but this I still think potentially that the primitive thing that there's now in a lot of situations, the data is already out there that they are safer than a human driver anyway already, even though it isn't the best and it does have some situations.
I ran out of
It,
battery. Hold on. My
okay,
camera ran out of battery. I can fix it. Just give me
yeah.
2 seconds.
You've paused it.
I There you go. My camera is alive. Anyway, let's move forward because we've talked about, and this is a whole thing to talk about. This won't go away. Safety, yada yada yada. The problem is that there
Yeah.
were leaks. There were lots of people complaining, and it's bad Tesla.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying. Like the reason why I went into that stuff is that the reason why they have a lot of complaints is because they are focusing on something that is not there yet, and people are complaining about that intermediate that stage of things.
Yep. Mercedes-Benz wants to be fully electric in 2030, and they say we want to be the most desirable electric vehicle luxury brand, and they are investing in a charging network that they want to
Yep.
rival. They want to use to rival Tesla. Lots of things to unfold with this one. Let's
Do you
try
think they
and
can do it though?
to go of all of those things to beat
Well,
Tesla.
become the most desirable electric vehicle luxury brand. Do you think Mercedes can do that?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because Tesla shouldn't be a luxury vehicle.
Well, yeah, that's not their aim. That's part of their strategy, but
That
it's not
is so,
their long term.
and it's in Elon Musk's master plan. But start by making a real expensive car. Use that money to make an affordable car. So
Yes.
I think they will when Tesla is cheaper and when they nail the technology. By 2030, when they go full electrical, I don't know about that one. What do you think?
But do you think Mercedes is going to be the one, or is it going to be BMW? Is it going to be Hyundai?
It,
Is it going to be
well,
a
Hyundai is not a
Kia?
luxury brand. So,
Well, could they transition to be one?
nah,
Like,
I think it
no?
would have to be either them or well, who else is heavily investing of the big brands of luxury cars? Who else is heavily investing in electric vehicles other than Mercedes-Benz and BMW?
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing is right now, who in the petrol space, who is the most
It would
like? Do you
Mercedes,
know
yeah,
the
it would be
best?
Mercedes-Benz or BMW. Of course, there's Jaguar. Of course, there's all of these cars. But they have a few models. They sell a few thousand cars, and that's enough to keep themselves afloat and very very profitable. But they are not breaking any huge records of car salesmanship things like Mercedes-Benz and BMW. Not only they are huge cars, but they also have commercial vehicles and people movers and all of this sort of stuff. So it's not a small thing what they are going for. Although this is particularly for the luxury cars. But what I think what is the most interesting thing to unfold here is the fact that they are going all in with also the charging and the sorry, I lost my train of thought.
So when I went just doing a quick Google search online, Mercedes-Benz is the... Oh, did you just pause?
No, it's fine.
Okay, I'm going to start again though. But when I did a quick search online and had a look, the Mercedes-Benz is the top luxury car brand overall right now. So yeah, okay, yeah, maybe they will be. Maybe they can, if they are able to transition to electric vehicles and become a leader in that area in attracting what a luxury customer wants and also have good EV technology, then I think, yeah, they could potentially take that mantle away from Tesla.
For me, this is the most important thing because Tesla, one of the main reasons why people are buying Tesla, especially in America, is because of their charging network. It's one of the biggest driving forces, and I know that they are starting to share it little by little, not quite yet, but they are. So what they are doing is what they are saying here is charging is still a big roadblock for customers, she said. Mercedes charging stations are a assurance to customers and a good, though expensive, marketing strategy because they need to put money into that. The company's charging network, which launches first in the USA and Canada and will be open to non-Mercedes models, could solve the country's EV charging dilemma. So they are full onto this. By 2030, we're talking about this of the year. It was like what, in less than 7 years. Becoming full electrical. You had a really good a list of cars that were going to go full electrical, and none of the size of Mercedes-Benz was actually testing for 2030. Probably the biggest ones were Volvo and Mini, and they were 2035, if I remember that correctly. Do you still have the list somewhere over there?
Yeah, I'll just find it here. So in terms of, I was like, okay, well, what other car brands are promising to go fully electric by 2030? Jaguar 2025, Alfa Romeo 27, Lotus
27
28.
Alfa Romeo, yeah, but they have 3 cars though. Yes,
Alfa Romeo Lotus 28.
Who?
Lotus
28. Yeah, but again, Lotus has 1 car.
Bentley 30.
Yes, again.
Cadillac 30.
These are cars that sell like a huge amount less. Like we're talking about like one.
Lexus 30. Lexus is pretty big, isn't it?
Hold on, Lexus belongs to Toyota, buddy.
They do.
Whoa, I did not see that one coming. I didn't know that. Lexus 2030 full electrical.
And of course, what we were just talking about now, Mercedes-Benz 30 as well. Mini 2030.
Mini 2030. Again, mainly 1 car, but yeah.
And it's owned by BMW, so it's sort of BMW.
And
Rolls-Royce 30 as well.
Again, what, 2 cars? Yes.
Volvo. So Volvo is also on the luxury car list.
Is Volvo a luxury car?
Well, it's on the list. On the list I found online.
I guess they are pricey cars. I don't know if I would put them in, but anyway, yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are. What year are they? Volvo has a few models, that's for sure.
Couple of models, yeah. Just a few. Audi 33.
That one is a big one.
Yep.
Audi is big.
Considering they're very like petrol racing, all that sort of stuff.
And they are luxury brand. They are a little bit less than a Mercedes.
Who owns Audi these days, though?
VW, isn't it?
Yeah, VW. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then we've got...
But VW is not going fully electrical in any time soon. They are not even announcing it.
Yeah, Chevy, GMC, and Buick 35.
That is probably the biggest one. But
it's 35.
That's 35. That's a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
And they at any point in the next 12 to 13 years, they can say, you know what, maybe not.
I guess it's the thing as well with a luxury car maker. It's easier to do that. It's easy to go fully electric if that's what you're like. You can hopefully get higher margins and sell less volume and do the Tesla strategy sort of.
Yep.
Without then going to the cheaper ones eventually.
talk to me about this one. Ford adopts Tesla charging standard to gain access to supercharging
Yeah,
network.
this is huge. This is huge network in the
Massive.
US.
So.
So
Well, okay, you go. I'll ask
well,
you
I
the
think
question at the end.
it's amazing. It's great for Ford. Ford has jumped on this, and it means that now the Fords that will be built in the future will have access to the Tesla supercharging network, and I think that's been a massive benefit that Tesla have had in the US.
You were talking about it.
And also, they'll now be Fords will be rocking up to Tesla superchargers and seeing all the Teslas as well. It might actually increase the sales of Teslas if the Fords go there and go, these Tesla things look good. But I think the key bit here, the exciting bit here, well, not necessarily exciting. The interesting bit is the fact that the Fords will adopt the NACS
That is the big one. For me, that is
charging port, which is the port that Tesla designed
only
for.
for America. Only for
Yeah,
America.
only
That is
America. Yeah,
that is so backwards. Like, are you for real? Okay,
yeah,
but yes, because but for those that would watch us from anywhere else, here in Australia and most places around the world, Tesla does not use that plug. They use
yes.
the regular CC. What is it? CCS2?
Yeah, so Type 2 is the part of it, mainly for like most chargers, and then CCS2 is the fast charging plug, where it's got Type 2 at the top and then two little plugs at the bottom to do the fast charging.
Right
And
here.
so that's what all cars in Australia have. We have a standard here where it can either be that or CHAdeMO, and which
But
is
no,
for like
only the
Nissan
Leaf uses
Leafs.
CHAdeMO.
That's it. Yeah, which it should go away. We should have a standard of just that rather than both, which that's a whole chat we should talk about at another point. But yeah, in Australia, Teslas can't use their own standard because we have a standard here. America doesn't have such a thing, and yeah, so that's it. I guess there are some benefits to it, like the actual the port that goes into the car is a lot smaller than the Type 2 port. But it's also in America, because a lot of the charging network is older. There's a lot of Type 1, which is huge.
Yep.
And so if you're looking at a Type 1 versus a Tesla charger, there's like a massive difference in size. And I think
There's
that,
also
yeah,
well, a lot of people complain not only about that but also about the reliability. So let's say that you need to charge somewhere and you can see in the map that there's 3 or 4 chargers and they are not Tesla superchargers, and what they are saying is that they usually, I saw this with some YouTuber, was it McKee Brownlee or one of these ones, and they were saying the biggest, it may have been Ryan Shaw, that one of the biggest problems is that you stop there and you realize that 3 out of the 4 or even 4 out of the 4 aren't working. And that's one of the
yeah,
biggest ones with Tesla supercharging, that you can actually almost be certain that they are working 90% of the time because they are very reliable and they get fixed and looked after very, very well. While the other ones,
yeah.
anyone and their uncle can go and install one in the house and, wherever they want. And
That's what's massive is the Tesla supercharging network has a reputation for being super reliable, and I think that's going to really help. Like any Ford driver that now can use that network is going to have a much better experience than those that can't. And so, yeah, it's very exciting. The fact there's also, like, combined with this, Tesla have opened up with their sort of magic dock is that you can charge other cars on the Tesla supercharger network, where it'll sort of has a little adapter in the charger. And yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people are kind of confused by this because it seems like a massive advantage for Tesla to have this, but at the same time, they're actually pushing things forward. But there's another reason. Another reason is that they get federal money from the US government by opening up their network to other chargers and other cars, and
yeah,
that's another huge
that would be
motivation.
of course. Of course. Although they say that there's no love lost between Joe Biden and Elon Musk. Apparently, they don't like each other very much. There's this really famous thing that Joe Biden did, this thing that invited every single electric car manufacturer, main mogul, and didn't invite Elon Musk, which sounds
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah, there's definitely some hate there for sure. There's definitely some bad blood.
Elon Musk is right leaning, although I don't think it's completely right, but he's right leaning and obviously, political interests and all of that. Musk is in China amid rumors of Model 3 refresh production imminent. What's a refresh, Kieran? That we're going to have a completely brand new Model 3?
Yeah, well, I think there's sort of some more articles that are a bit more interesting about the actual refresh. Sorry, do you want to pause here?
I'll pause here. Sorry, that's the only one that I got. All right, so let's go with this one. Tesla Model 3 production has halted in China, reportedly to make way for Project Highland. Freedom.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
uh,
yeah,
uh, uh,
this is yeah, what?
no. Go on, go on, go on. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, very exciting. So I guess this is a leak. Like it's not in Tesla's best interest to leak this information, but it's been out there. As you can see, there's a picture there of what looks like the new refreshed Model 3. What do you think? Do you
I
like the
think it
look of
looks
it?
very similar, almost identical. What's so different about it?
Yeah, except the
The
bumper. You can see the
lights,
bumper there.
the and the lights are a little bit
It's sort of flatter.
different. Yeah,
It's not
it's
as
very
curvy.
hard to see in this picture. I think it's missing like the LEDs that are in the corners of the lights. They don't have. No, go away. Okay,
Yeah,
let's see
there's
the
also
photos.
some renders as well of what it could look like, but there it's we don't know. This may not be the actual what it's going to look like. This is a leaked photo, and they are definitely
It looks a little bit
uh
curvier, like more like this muscle car, like one, like a 75 Stingray or something like that. A little bit. When they
mm,
cover something like that, very famously, when they cover something like that from the paparazzis, is because that's where the new stuff is.
yeah, exactly. So it's the front and the back of it for sure,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where this is coming, where these new changes are definitely
Do
coming
you
from.
think, thinking, as an evil villain, do you think they're removing stuff? Maybe there's no
Oh, they
cameras. Maybe
definitely
there's
are,
no
and
sensors.
so that
Maybe there's
so
no.
part of these leaks are as well that they're planning to remove the stalk. So it won't, just like the Model S, it will do automatic reverse and like changing gears, so automatic reversing, etc.
Uh huh.
Um, and it will also, I think there's other parts. There also, so there's an interior refresh that's been leaked as well as the exterior. So very exciting.
It does
It's
have
not in their
sensors.
best interest to share this out there, because if somebody was like, "Oh, I was about to buy a Model 3,"
Mm.
they don't want people to know that there's going to be a new Model 3, because then they would wait for that one to come out.
All right,
So
so
yeah.
I can tell you what I see from looking at my cars every day. This looks bigger and a little bit offside, and
But
there's
that whole
less of them.
front bit there is
It's
flat.
different, but the sensor is different. The other one has two, and they are smaller, if I remember that right. Um,
That circle port there is the port which allows you to charge your 12-volt battery if there's an accident or something that's come down.
so that's not a sensor.
No,
So
that
where are
big
the
circle one
sensors?
is not a
There's no
sensor.
sensors. There's no sensors.
No. Well, there isn't in
Ah,
the Model 3 right now anyway.
well, in mine there is. In
Yeah,
2022.
yeah, but they removed those. They removed the parking sensors.
Yes, I thought I didn't know that the production ones had already been removed. I knew that they were removing them, but I didn't know that the newer ones that you can go and buy and receive already had them removed. I thought that
Yes,
was
they
coming.
already do. They're already gone.
Yeah, that was a very dumb idea, by the way, Elon. Very like look, the lidar was stupid. These sensors are just dumb, so dumb. Anyway,
Yes.
we had the discussion in the previous chat, but there's no way that I would have bought a Tesla if it didn't have those sensors. I use them
Hmm.
so much because of my garage and it's how small it is.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, really exciting. I think it'll be good to have a refresh. It's been a long time with the same look. I think this will be good when it does come out. There'll be a big announcement. It might get a lot more people excited to have a Tesla that doesn't look like all the other Teslas that are out there now, and it may sort of renew some interest and get more people buying it. It's probably
wheels
going
look
to be
different.
released in China first,
Mhm.
and then sort of be the rest of the world. So
It is not different enough, though. It is a little bit different. Yes, it is.
yeah, but if you compare different
Now,
models of
hold on,
Corolla,
hold on. That
same
doesn't
sort of
look like
thing.
a Model 3, though. That is very high. That looks more like a coupe or more like a Model Y than a Model 3.
Oh, that's
Model
a
3 is
three.
more.
I'm pretty sure that's a three.
If that's a 3, this is completely different because it doesn't have the booth and it's not a sedan like the Model 3 is. This is completely different. This is a Model 3 for sure.
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that
Well,
is
it's a
different.
refresh. Yeah, and there's probably different models that they're testing, different versions. So we don't know.
That is what I'm saying. Like they don't that is not only a refresh, but it's a complete rehash from going to a sedan to going to a coupe because that is almost a coupe.
Okay, well, I don't know. From that picture, I don't know if you can tell that, but yeah.
Well, a coupe is a car that the booth is almost just as high. It has like a V shape, and a sedan, it goes like this, and then it has a boot that goes down like this. So
Mhm.
you know what I'm
I
talking
think a
about?
lot of people would be excited about a Model 3 with a hatch as well, rather than the boot
That's
that's
what I'm
on
saying.
there.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, like a
So
hatchback. That
a
would be awesome.
hatchback, which this looks like a hatchback if you ask me, instead of a
But that's
sedan.
why the Model Y is so popular, because it does have that.
That is why I'm wondering what the hell is this, because it doesn't look like a Model 3 or a Model Y. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Now I get you. I think I'm maybe on the same page now.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So a hatchback or a coupe, depending on where you're listening to us, is exactly the same thing.
Mm.
That was the last one.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Hold on. We finished the chat.
It was a
We
good
should
chat
come
with you today.
with a tagline. The chat is over. People have left the chat. Something. Okay. Kieran, that was a good chat.
Yeah. A good EV chat.
A good EV. And you use your voice cast, your radio cast, and good EV chat. A good EV chat to you as well, Kieran. Any parting words with the people? It's exciting. I would say that.
Yeah, exciting. I'm future looking here. That some new cars. Exciting. You're excited about a new battery that could
I
be
am
far
excited
off.
about the chemistry. New technology always gets me excited. And if in 10 years we're all driving, with sodium ion, then I'm going to come and I'm going to point and laugh at you. I said, remember when you said this was
Sure.
nothing?
Bring it on. And I'm excited about more charges. It's also my job, so that's kind of what I'm excited about anyway. But having more charges in the middle of Australia, so I can go visit some remote locations. Bring it on.
I am very excited about this 2030 with all of these companies. GM, all about this Ford getting into bed with Tesla. A lot of stuff is happening very, very fast. You must understand, this is a week of news, Kieran. This is not a month. This is not what happened in the last. This is literally 7 days of news, and they are just as exciting as last week. Which again, I'll leave it in the comments, but it's not great because of the audio that someone screwed up. And the week before and the week before, and it's nonstop.
It's moving so fast, yeah. And there's
moving
some
really
articles we
fast.
didn't discuss as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's lots of stuff that we have to do a call. There's some interesting stuff around. But anyway, Kieran, thank you very much. Chat is over.
Thank you.
Chat is over. That's a good one.
See ya.